not developed right now with somebody saying, yo, I like this post office and this connection to the airport. Right. I'm going to put 55 houses over here.
True story. My dad, the first house, not his first house, but the house he bought that we grew up in, 77 Buick. The end of our block, 78th Street, was marsh. He's like, yo, it was a field.
Yeah, it was nothing there.
Like, it was nothing there. Yeah. All them houses down where, like, Dev and all them came in, and Pepper and all of that shit. All that shit came in the 70s. My pop bought the crib for $11,000. We sold the joint for bean something. Right. It's just like, it's crazy. That he was like, the house across the street he didn't think to get because he was like, I didn't have a family at the time.
Right.
And it had a garage and 4 bedrooms. But he was like, it was expensive. I think that was $13,600. Like, that's expensive.
And that's what people don't understand, like, about development and about real estate is the only thing separating Point Breeze from fucking whatever part of Frankfurt is that they don't have a use for what's going on in that part of Frankfurt yet. Once they have a use for it, then somebody will develop that area too. And all it takes is one person to start with, say, $1 million, $2 million. I'm going to build a block of houses, and now everybody's property value goes up because of this 24 houses that's over here.
Look
on
where I just moved from,
shit.
where you at? Like up Roxborough and Manayunk, it's $500,000 homes right there. All through there. It's crazy.
The crazy thing about it all is that example that you said, that's the blatant aspect of it. It used to be more subtle than that. They used to buy a house on one block and then build and make it $400,000, and now you have that comp. I believe, now you can say conspiracy or not, I believe they buy the house to themselves so they can go on public record that they have a comp for $400,000. And then you know what happens after that? The revenue department come in, they reassess that block taxes for the next year, and then because a lot of those older people who are on fixed incomes with those variable
they raise their taxes, and they come in and
go up, and then a year later they go foreclose, and guess what? Guess who bought their house?
The person who put the
first house in there. And then you know what happened after that? It get reassessed, and then the cycle goes on and on. And next thing you know, that block, it becomes, like he said, a whole strip. Now they just bold. But you know where they getting that land from? It's even more crazier. You know where y'all headquarters at? What's that? 12th and Market, right? On top of y'all, they have the redevelopment program. Now, the redevelopment program is if you go in the city of Philadelphia and you see any lot and it has the barn fence, that means that the city owns it. If you always notice, there's a gap in there. Reason being is because they have to maintain a lot, so they have to be able to fit they grass cutters and all that stuff that the drive lawnmowers and stuff. Okay. So they got to go and maintain it. But the only purpose of the redevelopment program is to redevelop the community. So they don't care who come along and buy it, as long as but you have to have the blueprints, you have to have the funding in place, and you have to build it within 6 months, right? Guess who's coming in getting that stuff? $2,000 lots, the developers. Yep. Because again, the conflict is no conflict of interest because the only interest is to redevelop the neighborhoods. So that those you see like a whole street of barn fences. Yep. They get that, let's say 10, 20,000, and they use the same blueprints for one house, and they just mass manufacture that, and they put 5 and 6 of them in a row that probably cost them less than 100,000. Yeah, and they selling them for 200,000, 300,000, 400,000 each.
I was just driving up. Ridge Avenue, Francisville, the other day.
Oh my goodness.
The guy who used to own the Arts Garage, he sold that lot or whatever. They're now building condos and them 3-story modern houses on that lot. They haven't even gotten to the destruction of getting rid of the Arts Garage yet. That's last. We're going to build these houses first and get these motherfuckers in here and start making some of this money back. But it's like you drive up Ridge Ave and you got that development there. Across the street, you got 3 houses. All them little missing teeth that used to be there, they ultra-modern houses now that's getting built. You drive up some more, it's a little triangle joint.
Yeah, that triangle built on that. Weird.
You go up again, it's another little lot joint that's stuff there. You go up a little more, it's one that say lot for sale. You go up a little bit more, getting closer to like 19th. Like we're past Girard College a little bit. It's a big ass joint. They building stuff over there, and I'm like, yo, it's gonna continue and continue and continue to build up till they fill in all of this space. Because why? People want to be adjacent to downtown. They want to be adjacent to 76, the parkways, and all of that stuff. Right. So they're just gonna continue to just build and build and build and build and build. I got a friend who's a like a small time developer now, whatever. He got 4 properties in South Philly. Right near Point Breeze. It's basically supposed to be done like any day now. He already got buyers for them. The minute that they done, he selling them each for $399. Nice. Done deal. He basically has an investor on the hook to give him $6 million. But the caveat is you got to build in Francisville. We'll give you the money. You gotta build. You gotta secure these lots and build in Francisville
Right.
because they want to be in the. That's the next hot spot.
Yeah.
So people don't want to miss out on this the way they might have missed out on Northern Liberties.
Right.
So they like, yo, I'll give you the money, but you got to build over here.
And knowing all this information, the saddest part is if you don't have the money on the position to have capital and credit, you just got to sit and let it happen and watch. And that's the sad part.
Just watch.
But if people like you said, like you talked about property or you talk about property, we talk about numerous properties, right? People take a whole lifetime just to get one because they told us this was supposed to be a process that was hard. And I'm around a bunch of people who, yeah, guess what? I just got another investment property. I'm on my 4th disinvestment property. Not even including the 2 homes that they own for them.
Right.
And I'm like, we sitting here, and that's why I said all this comes together is important because the whole goal of financial planning is to be able to see where you at and then see where you want to go. And if you don't know where you want to go, you have somebody that's going to be able to ask those questions or get that information out of you, what your interests are and all these other things, where you want to see your kids is, and then now we can discover those things. And then if housing is a part of it, then we help you with that process. If you want to get your credit fixed, you're supposed to help you with that. You know what I mean? We don't have the insight to even start a plan. So we just all over the place. Just like in business. You're supposed to have a business plan, not just for an investor. You're supposed to have 2. One to be a roadmap of your company so you can know what's my exit strategy or what's my milestone. In 1 year, do I want to make $1 million? In 5 years, do I want to have a new office or a new building in 5 different cities? You have to get those things, and that's the most boring part to most people. They want to just go out and sell. They just want to be in motion.
Yeah.
And don't have a plan, but that's just really what happens.
I didn't realize that Chad got busy on Instagram. We got a bunch of questions. Do you want to field some? We got a lot
Real
of
quick,
financial
while we
questions.
talk about the real estate shit, real quick, and last thing, and then we can go to
do
some
your
of these
thing.
questions. For the person that doesn't have a lot of money to be able to go and buy a piece of real estate or whatever like that, or leverage something to get a piece
that's
of real
one
estate.
question going. That was going to be
What's a good short-term investment that they can turn over some money to be able to maybe in a year, 2-3 years to get to be in a better position to make a better investment?
In terms of like a smaller investment,
Like a smaller investment.
on property,
No, on anything.
it depends, right? So that question is relevant to somebody's situation. But if you asking me, first and foremost, you have to maximize the money that you have first, right? I don't think the issue is always the fact that somebody can't get into a property because it costs too much. It's all about credit at that point, right? Because it depends on your loan and your income or whatever the case may be. But if you're looking to flip something, the formula for wealth in terms of money, you need time. You really need time, or you need a high return on your investment.
Yeah.
The reason why a lot of people get into it, in, let's say real estate, is because it averages around 30% in return.
Yeah.
But it's 100% risk, right? So if somebody looking to do something in a quick term, is not really set up for you to really have a year's worth of something. You can do what he do. You go to the casino, look at that spinny ball, and bet on black.
I don't play roulette.
Well, I'm just saying, go to the casino, period.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's really hard to. It's more so. The only thing I would say is one of the type of things. If you talking about somebody, is it somewhere they want to live or is it somewhere they want to?
No, I'm just saying if somebody's in a position to where they like, all right, and my long term goal is I want to be investing in real estate, whatever the case may be, or start this business or whatever like that. It's gonna cost me $500,000 to start this business.
Okay.
And they got $5,000 now.
Right.
Where do they start investment wise to make some smart investments to where they can turn some of that money over to where it's like, even if they getting a 10% return, but it's in 6 months or 8 months or something like that. What are some avenues that people can look to as far as a short term investment that can bring some money back?
In order to, the higher the risk, the higher the reward. So in order to really make a lot of money quickly in terms of getting a return on your investment, obviously people look to the stock market, right? But the stock market works, in my opinion, off of what they call speculation. It doesn't really necessarily have anything to do with the performance of a company or even an industry. If Donald Trump says, like he did, they selling tax-free cars in Mexico, General Motors shuts the plant down. And then they stock drop. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
If you go into the stock market, I know people make a lot of money into the stock in the stock market, but you have to be prepared for that risk. It's 100% risk. If you don't, if the stock market goes down, you lose all your money.
Yeah, but
So-
the stock market is more of a long game because even if you buy $5,000 worth of Apple stock and it drop a little bit and then it's worth $3,000, if you don't take it out, you don't lose nothing.
Right.
But if you leave that $3,000 in and then it go up and now it's worth $10,000 or whatever, ultimately you won out. So really, as long as your stock don't go to zero, if you played a long game on a safe company, usually you could win out or at least break even.
Over time. Probability a set in and it'll start working towards you. I mean, I think, honestly, you need to invest in yourself. There's other ways to make money streams of income and different things like that. I think if you're looking to get that $500,000, you have to work your way up. I don't really think is a short-term answer to that.
Are you familiar with Gary V at all? Gary Vaynerchuk?
Gary Vaynerchuk.
Gary Vaynerchuk is basically a self-made multimillionaire.
Yes, I heard of him, and I actually heard he has like a radio show. Right?
Yeah, exactly. He has a radio show. He got radio show, podcast, YouTube channel, all that. He's been on Breakfast Club, bunch of other different media outlets, whatever. Yeah. He talks about he's
super tight.
He talks about flipping,
right?
And basically, like people literally like surveying like the dollar store versus Five Below. And seeing like, all right, it's some same products that are in Five Below that are for $5 that are in dollar store for $1, and people can go buy them up, get an Amazon account, put them on Amazon, and turn $5,000 into $8,000 and $8,000 into $12,000.
You want to know the most genius shit I ever saw? Thinking about that, when Beyonce's concert was here, my girl wanted to go, so we went to the concert. It was outdoors. It fucking was raining.
So you didn't want to go, just her?
I ain't gonna lie.
Okay.
Fuck it. But we knew it was going to rain.
Right.
So we went to go buy ponchos. Every store we went to, the ponchos were like, gone. So I'm like, is everybody in this fucking city going to Beyonce concert tonight? Finally, we find ponchos up at the Target, whatever. We get down to the arena. Niggas was outside selling all the ponchos they had purchased earlier in the day for $1. They were selling them for $20.
Yep.
I mean, running them off, too. Cheap little plastic bullshit. I had a poncho with pockets. My poncho was lit. I got it from Target.
So think if you had 100 of them.
Right.
Crazy, right?
You spent $100 and you made, what's that?
If it's $20 a pop?
Yeah.
Times 100?
Times 20,000. $20,000 in one day. You just got to be willing to.
No.
You sure?
2,000.
Fuck myself.
But either way, you made an exponential return.
Right.
Just by being smart enough to say, hey.
2,000 great when you live in the P. It's like.
It's great when you live anywhere. If you live anywhere, a $2,000 day is a good day.
Real talk.
A net $2,000 day is a good day.
A tax-free $2,000.
Yeah. They was running off them ponchos.
But what I was going to get into was, directly, you wouldn't be able to get those returns that quickly to turn around something for $500,000. That's why I say invest in yourself, understanding what the trends are. Business is about supply and demand. So if you can find something that's hot right now and you can make some money, typically that's how a lot of those one-off businesses even get started in the first place, because people's initial way to do it was a means to an end, and then the mean became the end.
Yeah.
If you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
like 2 Chainz made $2 million selling dab and Santa sweaters.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, 2 Chainz is a smart guy. I don't know why.
Very smart guy.
He's always want to act like he's so ignorant.
Very smart guy. But I think his part of his business theory is to appear like a common folk and not that smart, so that the common folk will support him, as opposed to like, yo, I'm like this super smart guy that was like a 3.5 GPA my whole life, and then it's like, oh nigga, you smart, we don't need to support you. Get your smart ass out of here.
I got you.
Let's answer some of these questions.
Go ahead.
Let me get back in here. All right, we again, please, non-retarded questions. We got one. Hey, I was wondering, can clearing the delinquency on my credit report improve my score? Yes. Next question.
Wait, clearing the delinquency meaning what?
It just says clearing the delinquency.
I mean, it depends on what you're delinquent on. Like, all right, I'm kind of like a self-taught like credit expert. Like, my credit score bottomed out in 2013. I went down to 485, and I personally educated myself on credit, read this book, that book, this seminar, and self-educated myself on credit, the way it works, and all that shit.
Right.
So, depending on the nature of the delinquency you're talking about, yes, getting it cleared can affect your credit score. There's 2 different types of credit items. There's active and inactive items. An active item is something that's being pursued to you like a student loan from the government.
Right.
They're going to actively pursue the collection on that loan.
Right.
But an inactive item might be like an old T-Mobile phone bill that they sold to a collection agency that went out of business.
Right.
Only thing you got to do to get that item off is to dispute the shit.
Right.
So a general rule of thumb for people out there worried about credit and like negative items on their credit, dispute everything. Whether it's legit or not, dispute everything, because you never know what's going to come off. And as those negative items come off, that could be anywhere between like 12 to 50 points on your score, depending on how it's overall weighted.
And you have to also understand that if you think that paying down on a delinquent item is going to affect you positively, that's
actually
false.
hurt you.
It's going to hurt you, because as long as it's like, that's why I was saying, is a difference between removing a delinquent item completely or saying that I paid it down to zero. If it's still on there even at zero,
but it's still listed as a negative
it's
item,
still working
doesn't
against
matter.
you.
Yeah.
So before you pay anything, you have to first foremost get them to send you a letter to agree that if you pay it, no matter
They'll
what it
remove
is,
it.
they will remove it, and then that's how you dispute it off. So yeah, in that case, of course it will help you. If you remove it, it'll help you.
Hello. Well, I don't know why.
Hello.
How you doing?
I'm tired.
Good evening.
I have no clue why I read that part. I'm looking to buy a home, but have less than 6 months credit history. No student loans, car note, or anything. Growing up, I was told if you can't buy it in cash, you can't afford it, which I now know that's not how it works. So I went to a credit counselor, and the best thing they told me was to get someone to add me as an authorized user on their card, but I don't have anyone that I can trust to pay their bills on time.
Gotcha.
What else can I do? I'm 31, credit score 665.
Well, I mean, she actually doesn't have a bad credit score.
Credit score is lit, pretty much.
Credit score is decent. I mean, depending on who you go to as far as buying the house, you may or may not be able to get it, because if you don't have any positive credit history, you don't have any negative credit history either, but you have a score that's registering.
Right. So I'm saying, if you have a 665 credit score, how
you
can
should be able to not only buy a house, but be able to buy a house and get some sort of funding for a first-time home buyer.
I could, co-sign on my Can-Am.
But if she got a 665, that's history enough to create a score.
Yeah, you have a score.
Yeah, it's a score. But she has to also remember, like I said before, in order to buy a house, you have to have three things. You have to have a good credit score, well, a specific credit score depending on the FHA loan or whatever they need in order to get approved for the loan. But your debt-to-income ratio, which is the amount of money that you bring in minus the amount that you pay in your debt, and that has to be 20% or below. It's the only time it's good to be below average. Your debt to income ratio has to be below 20%. And then the next thing, you have to have the money to put the down payment, and you have to have the income, which is the same thing, to be able to fund the loan going forward.
Exactly. And you gotta have to have filed taxes for at least the last 2 years.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's the one a lot of people forget about.
Or a lot of people that's self-employed who be
trying to evade taxes. Then you want to go buy a house. You can't. Hard. Yeah, you can't do shit.
But what I do tell people is, especially in the finance world, is certain investments that I educate people on that still count as streams of income.
Yeah.
That has a cash value that you can actually use as collateral.
Yeah.
Without even a working history.
Right.
So,
all right.
You want to learn more about that? Come to the
workshop.
My wife and I live in an apartment right now. We want to buy a house soon. We were thinking about killing two birds with one stone and buying an income property, living in the upper or lower level and renting out the other part. Smart. Is that a good idea for first-time homeowners, or should we just chill and buy a traditional crib?
Well, you have to first understand what their family situation look like. Right. So if it's just them two, then of course. But if y'all got 3 and 4 kids, that
shit ain't gonna work.
That's not gonna work. So at this amount, I would say it always depends. So I'll create the scenario. If they have multiple kids or they're expecting to have kids within the next 1 year or 2 years, then I would say get a single family home. And my rule of thumb is for somebody that's buying their first home, it should be anywhere between 100 and 150,000. Especially a single woman who is looking to get married. You want the man to be able to bring you to the next level house. Right. Mm-hmm. And be steadfast in that, because you got a lot of women that make a lot of money, and then it's like, I'm gonna bring him in when we get married, and then you cutting yourself short.
You should be elevating as opposed to.
He should be taking, and I hope people don't take this the wrong way, thinking that I'm saying that you need the man to take you to the next level. But I'm saying is that the rule of thumb is your first house should be 100, 150,000. Now, if you have the type of family structure where as though you don't need a lot of space, then by all means, get a duplex. Just make sure you have your renter's license, because I've been in situations where people didn't have a renter's license and they was collecting rent illegally. And if somebody finds out about that, then they can sue you for all that back.
So make sure you have a good real estate agent that points, that's somebody that you trust, that will point you in the right direction as all of that stuff, because they're supposed to disclose that to you. And sometimes, depending on who's underwriting the loan, they'll let you use the income from the other property as income to lower your debt to income ratio.
Right.
But some won't. So you got to know like who your underwriter is and what their rules are before you engage on taking a loan from them.
Right.
All right. What helped you change your mindset towards wealth and asset building? What steps can you give someone just starting out?
Wait, can you say that first part again?
What helped change your mindset towards wealth and asset building?
Got you. I think it all starts with your lifestyle. What becomes more important to you, and then once you have those different things that you have to worry about, like wife and kids and all those responsibilities, it kind of by default should force you to think about wealth and all these other things. But I told you my background is in investment banking. I mean, I was making $23 an hour at like 18 to handle $1 trillion trades. So I didn't really need too much motivation after that to be like, I don't want to be the one servicing the client. I want to be the client eventually that's getting service. So, and then what was the next part of the question?
I don't know.
Because
I went out of there.
What changed my mind? What moved me more towards like where I am as far as wealth building and all that?
What steps can you give out? To
was
someone
my thing was literally going broke. Like I talked about it on the show multiple times, like going broke and just having like a lifestyle to where I'm like making not even more than I spend, but as much as I spend, to where the point where it's like I'm down to my last $7,000 and I have no idea where my next $7,000 is coming from.
Right.
That shit is scary.
Yeah.
And it goes from taking you to having a lifestyle to where it's like you got a $1,400 apartment to living with a friend.
Right.
Like,
Right.
the fuck? You know what I'm saying? That alone will make you be like, oh no, I got to do something different. You know what I'm saying? And to be living, in the last 4 years, I lived below my means on purpose so that I can now have the money to be able to do shit and make investments when the time came, and I was able to do that.
And I think one of the first steps that you have to take to be able to look towards wealth building and all these other things is the mentality. You have to have the mind frame, because it doesn't matter what you read, what you watch, or who tells you anything. If you're not ready to receive the information, you won't retain any information that somebody says. So I say, once you get past the fact that you know that this is something that you want to do, then you come talk to me. And then I will help guide you through the rest of the process. And that's what a financial professional is supposed to do. They're supposed to sit down and have a conversation with you, see what your wants are, what your likes are, what your financial goals and dreams are. And from there, you guide them out from every step. And then you be able to help them. See, that's what people don't realize. Wealth is not supposed to be something that you're supposed to figure out on your own. These wealthy people got financial advisors who got financial advisors.
And counsels of people that they go to that also have money and what they did. And, you know what I'm saying? You kind of, at some point,
you know what I realized real quick? You know what I realized watching Billions? You watch Billions?
Yes.
Axe don't make any decision on his own. Right? Have you noticed that in the show? He has to talk to his wife.
Wags
or
Wendy.
He can't make a decision for anything.
And you know the lesson in that, the majority of people he listened to is women.
They crazy, right? But I peeped that while like this last season. I'm like, yo, he really don't make decisions on his own.
Yeah.
The smartest people in the world is people who keep smart people around them.
Yeah.
And I learned that. I had the pleasure to meet the CIO of JP Morgan.
Damn.
Eating filet mignon on 135th floor on Wall Street. It's ridiculous. He said he catch the train to work, and the sub, you ain't got no car? Catch the train to work every day. He said he read the Wall Street Journal from front to back. So by the time he get into Jamie Dimon's office, who is the
everything
CEO,
that's going on.
He has to answer those questions because Jamie Dimon has the CEO, he's the CEO, he has the CFO, the COO, the CIO, and so on and so forth. And they all have to go into his office in the morning, give him everything that happened in their sector, and then he has to go into the board of trustees' office and then disseminate that same information. Without them, is no him.
Yeah.
So it's important to keep smart people around you. You don't have to be I don't want to be the smartest person in the room. That means I'm not learning. Everybody pulling information from me. I want to be the stupidest person in the room. Or I wouldn't say stupid, smallest fish. So it's important.
So I currently own one small row home. I have about 40 grand in equity in it. I have a modest goal to buy 1 or 2 investment properties a year for the next 5 years. I don't want to be a landlord, quotation, been there, done that. I'm only looking to flip. My question is, should I use savings to buy investment property, or should I use the equity in my existing home? Also, is the requirement for most investor financing 20% down? What is the best program for flipping?
All right. Specific to this point, what I would say is there's no right or wrong answer to it. Ultimately depends on what is your secondary goal aside from being a flipper. Do you want to be a flipper who is also debt free, or are you a flipper who is cool with having a mortgage on a property here or there? So if you have $40,000 in equity in a property, you could and you have a legitimate stream of income, you could refinance that property, get that equity out of it, and then go make your next purchase with that instead of depleting your savings, which is what most investor flippers would probably tell you to do, because to basically use an income generating asset to go and acquire another income generating asset. But are you cool with having that? What's a 20-year mortgage on $40,000? What is it? Probably like $400 a month or something like that. If that. So it's like, are you responsible enough to pay that $400 bill every month?
We're gonna do a real estate
flipping
show.
Right.
I'm gonna have my old head Nate, and I think you wanted to bring somebody else up here.
So it's like, are you responsible enough to pay that bill every month, or is that too much for you? If that's the answer to that question is, yeah, I don't even want to have to fool with that bill, I just want to be debt free, then take your savings and do it. But there's no right or wrong way to do it. You can even use somebody else's money to acquire the flip property also.
What I think is, I'm going to get you licensed and build you an agency. Because I feel like you're already there, my brother, right? But in all actuality, again, people going to get tired of me saying this, it's all relevant, man.
Yeah.
It's really relevant because people think that they can go into that business aspect without getting a personal financial aspect. I have to see what that looks like. Because at the end of the day, you can do all of what you want to do, but at the same token, like you said, you have to break it down. What are you looking to do? What is your main goal? All right, why? Because my whole thing is, people want to get into property, obviously, for money. But as a financial planner, I want to know what you want that money for.
Right.
Because it might be a better way to arrive at that point. Yeah. Now, if you strictly want to get into that because that's what you want to do, then we have to understand the options that you have and what are you willing to do. Now, I think people want to pull the equity out because they hear people do it.
Right.
They don't really understand how that works. You can lose your job today or tomorrow, and even if it's $245 or
the bill's still coming every month.
You're going to realize that those friends ain't really that cool because you can't get $400 from them.
Yeah.
And then now the big dream that you had all of a sudden is deflated because now you not only did you lose the house that you already have because you taking the equity out the house that you own. Now in the property that you had going forward, they got that one too. Right. So you double lost. And then it's going to stop you from ever trying to do anything in life because you felt as though, this is not the way life supposed to work. I'm supposed to just work till I retire, keep my mouth shut. No, you're supposed to have the right plan in place and the people around you to help you see that to fruition. And I think that's where people get discouraged is they go out on a hunch of something that somebody said and you taking advice from somebody who don't even flip properties.
Right.
So you have to, it just depends.
Love the show. Why am I reading that part again?
Hello. Love the show.
Hello. All right. I've been a homeowner for 9 years in Overbrook Park.
Nice.
I want to know, is Philly worth buying a home for a family? And I'm planning on buying my second home within the next year and a half and using my current home as a rental property. I'm leaning more towards Montgomery County or certain parts of Delaware County because of the school districts and home features, non-attached garage. Your thoughts? Me and my girl last week, we were looking at a new development in Delaware. Okay. And it's like I kept saying I wasn't going to move to Delaware. But my dad lives there. One of my sisters is down there. Her family, like pretty much all her family is in Delaware. And I look at what you get for the money in Delaware. I'm looking at a house in Delaware. It's $272,000, 4 bedrooms, finished basement, 2-car garage on the side, big-ass lot. And it's just like, I go on Realtor and I type in 250 to 300 grand in Philly, and it's like, the top of a poppy store.
You ain't getting much.
Yeah, it's crazy. You get units. District. Like you'll see an address with a unit A, unit B. It's just like, you get a small little 600 square foot condo. Me personally, I want the space, I want the yard, I want the deck. Yeah. Preferably a pool. So it's like, I'm going Delaware if I'm staying in this region. I'm going to go Delaware.
My advice is that somebody who lives in Overbrook Park is what I like to consider the best of both worlds. Because you have the location to where as though it's not necessarily the city, but you have the access to the city. Now, again, what does your family look like? Because if you go to Delaware, it's no social life.
Mm-hmm.
You have to. I believe.
I don't have one. I literally go home.
But it changes when you don't have the opportunity to have one too. Because I worked in Delaware for a long time, and at 5 and 6 and 7 o'clock, especially in the fall, it get dark quick and it shuts down. I mean, obviously they rebuilding now, but if you wanted more bang for your buck, Delaware is still not that far, right? Mm-hmm. To me, it's a half-hour drive, 495. Yeah. You get traffic, go to back in 13 and come up your favorite place, 291, where you hit the casino and stuff like that, right? So it's not about distance, right? You do get more bang for your buck, and a lot of times when you go to Montgomery County, it's expensive. Yeah. So you paying for the school, right?
Yeah, for sure.
On the taxes, they're going to get you for the tuition. So if school is what you want, I always say go, because you paying for the schools. You move
There's
to the
school
city?
district in Delaware. It has a funny name. Begins with an A. They got the best school district in Delaware.
Delaware?
Yeah. Begins with an A. I can't think of the name of it.
What city is it in?
I'm about to tell you right now. Best school district.
But if she's thinking about moving to the city, what's the benefits of moving to the city if you're already in Overbrook? Is it to get the rental property income so that you can go and probably live without having to pay much or not pay
because
anything?
as far as the city goes, you're already in a good area.
Right. You're accessible to all those things already. So I wouldn't.
Appaquinimink School District. I know I always read it. They're like the #1 school district in Delaware.
Nice.
And it's right near Middletown. Like
okay.
But their school district is like supposed to be like phenomenal.
Okay.
Like it's like supposed to be like top 10 on the East Coast or something crazy like that. Yeah. So it's like, I mean, you can, if you worried about school districts, like I told you, I've read that one day, and I read stupid ass articles, but it's like, you can find school districts here and there around different areas. So it's like, again, like you said, what are your needs? You know what I mean? How many kids? What are you trying to do with them? How long do you want to be there? Because, people will take out a 30-year mortgage knowing they're not going to stay in a house for 30 years. So it's all different ways to play it. But like I said, for me personally, I don't think I can buy a house to live in Philadelphia because you're just not getting much for these homes anymore. And for one of my homies sold a row home on Lindbergh Boulevard for $204,000. Like crazy, right? 204.
It's a seller's market right now, and that's what people also need to understand. The city of Philadelphia is absolutely and truly a seller's market. Yeah. Like you're gonna find some hidden gems here or there, but for the most part, it's not really gonna be in your favor if you're looking to buy something. Like the house I just sold, we didn't have no seller's assist on it or none of that shit. Like we basically got full ask for it. It was on the market for 1 day. We got an offer.
No contingency.
Like small shit.
So they did do
They did an inspection.
Inspection, okay.
All right, one last question before we get to wrap this up. I was about to go into the high guys at the beginning. All fucking stupid. Why do y'all? I don't understand why they write that in the email. Like, all right, whatever.
That's a formal email. Don't discourage that.
No, I'm not discouraging it.
Please.
But it's just,
because if you don't even have a subject line, it's going to the spam.
Yeah. Anyway, our credit repair companies recommended for anyone trying to up their credit score. Have you ever used any of them?
I use Lexington Law.
I wasn't going to give them a plug, but I
use Lexington Law.
Lexington Law. That's what literally, when they pulled my Experian, I had, I don't know, 9 to 10 things on there. Yeah. They got every single one. Like literally my Experian is all the loans that I've taken out over the, this is how my credit went up. I started taking out those little bullshit loans, the little $1,000, $1,500 that come right out of my check. I got my caddy, my DTS, that was through my credit union, so it came right out of my check. I literally haven't missed a payment. Didn't miss a payment on anything for like 6-7 years. Nice. Went to Lexington Law. They got every one of all the old shits taken off. Credit was damn near 800.
I've tried. I don't mind giving Lexington Law a plug because I've tried to get around them in terms of like credit repair. I still got like little small nagging stuff on my credit. Like I got like, but it's a far cry from what it was. I literally, when I started in June of 2014, when I started with them, I probably had like 78 negative items between my 3 credit bureaus collectively, and within 30 days they got it down to like 40 something. And then another 30 days, I got down to like 29. But the problem was, after like the initial 90 days, the shit stalled out. Yeah. So what I would do with them is I would like cycle them on and off. I would do like 3 months on, 6 months off, 3 months on, 4 months off, whatever like that. Like I think I'm about to start back with them because I got like some little small stuff on my Experian report. My TransUnion, my Equifax is beautiful. There's nothing on there. But it's just like the shit works. And if you stay on top of it the way you're supposed to, like every week, like viewing it and calling them and stuff like that, once your initial disputes go out, if they don't work, they'll send escalation letters for you. And that's what a lot of credit repair agencies don't do. They don't focus on like the escalation and saying, all right, we verified this is true, but it's this. They still look for loopholes to be able to get you out of this shit.
Yeah, Lexington Law literally got everything off my
And I talked to a credit guy. He's on the lam right now. But I talked to this credit guy from San Diego like 2 years ago. His wife left him and he just went on a lam and he owed people money apparently. But we had a really good conversation and he told me, he was like, damn, what was I saying? Oh, he's like, once something goes negative, don't pay it.
Yeah.
He's like, if something goes negative, don't pay it.
The lady from Lexington Law who's working on my case, she was telling me, because I was telling her, I'm like, listen, I had something on there from when I was out Utah. It was like $72. I was like, yeah, I'm going to pay that real quick. And she was like, no, leave it alone.
Yeah, don't
because
pay.
The second you make a payment, it's new activity on that. Yeah. So like your whole process of it being inactive for 5, 6, 7 years
starts over.
Yeah. So don't touch it if it's not being.
It's good to hear positive stories about Lexington Law because it seemed like any client that I ever had that had went with them,
they had a horror story.
Yeah, they got horror. It
was cool for me.
I had a horror story with like a person that I knew.
That was the second part of this question. She was like, I see all these quote unquote credit geniuses on my Instagram. Are they worth it? I never dealt with any person.
I would say I dealt with 2 different people. One was my man. I love him to death. I gave this motherfucker $450. He did nothing. Like, I was posting like positive results on my shit from shit that I did, and he calling me like, "Hey, did we do that, motherfucker? You should know if y'all did it or not." If you calling me asking me did y'all do that, you know you didn't do it.
But Lexington,
that's one of ours, baby.
That's one of ours, baby. We get that credit.
But Lexington, they charge about $100 a month.
We fucking them up, man.
Yeah. It's a hefty tag.
Oh no,
for
definitely.
some people that's looking to build some stuff.
No, it's definitely
Lexington Law was a
bill.
bean. Yeah,
I mean, when I first started off, I had a partner of mine. She was a director. She worked for a nonprofit, but she don't work there now. But I used to refer people to her because their services was free.
Yeah.
And for the most part, the people, they liked her, but they said that, because it was nonprofit, they didn't feel like it go all the way.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So then I have another person that I work with that I refer clients to as well. And I haven't heard anything bad, but, her price is not ongoing. But me, myself, personally, I focus on what I can do on my own, and then from there, if I wanted to get somebody a play, it probably would be her. But for right now, like I said, I heard Lexington Law. I know what they can do. They do a lot of other stuff too as well. But that $100 a month recurring.
Oh yeah, no, it's definitely a tab.
It's like a gym a lot of times. I think that's more so the issue.
It's a bean.
Because they pay for it and they don't utilize the service, but they never cancel the subscription,
right. And then
they
keep
just
getting the
paid
bill.
$100. You look up, that's $200 a year.
Yeah. Well, it's been dope. We ran through 2 hours fast.
Yeah.
I don't even feel
that was 2 hours?
Straight talk, yeah. Get them all your contact information, social media, your agency name, phone number, all that shit, and email.
All right, cool. So Jahmel Kendall, so JahmelKendall. That's my Twitter name. That's my Instagram name. You said what?
You spelled that nice. Like, I used to fuck up Matt Makes Me Sick.
Every episode.
I probably would have messed up Kendall. But again, Jahmel Kendall on Twitter, Jahmel Kendall on Instagram, and then on Facebook is Jahmel Kendall as well. My phone number is 215-252-0138. My email is Jahmel, Jahmel, Kendall, Kendall, WFG@gmail.com. My company is called World Financial Group and Transamerica Financial Advisors. Again, I have 3 workshops a week on Tuesday nights at 7, Wednesday nights at 7, and then Saturday mornings at 10 a.m. So if you need more information on that, you can contact me. My workshops are free, and my services actually are free too as well. A lot of people don't know that. So when you come and you sit down with me, it's not like a free consultation.
Right.
It's through the whole process. My services are free.
Unless they buy something.
Well, obviously, if somebody needs some insurance, I can't give them that for free.
It's not
you know
free,
what I'm saying? But for the most part, the planning part of it is free. And that's to be able to,
And what days of the work? You said
Tuesdays in Chinatown, 1020 Ray Street, 2nd floor. On Wednesdays is in South Philly, 1625 Washington Avenue at 7 p.m. And then on Saturdays for the month of July is in South Philly at 10 o'clock. 1625 Washington.
I know y'all got affiliate offices around the country. Can you kind of give some information for that? Because we got like a worldwide listener base.
So if it's anywhere between Puerto Rico, North America, Puerto Rico, America, and then Canada, depending on what region you are, you contact me, I can find an office close to you.
Okay.
One of the reasons why I have multiple offices, affiliations between different cities is because I have people in those regions and they need help. I reached out to the people that I know in those areas, and then we connect them.
Right.
So we service the whole America, Puerto Rico, and Canada. So if you're in any of those regions, we can help.
So anybody TRPE family that need financial advice, contact my guy here. He gonna send you to whoever's in your region if you need to meet somebody in person.
Right.
It is free.
It is free.
And it's free.
Throw that out there.
And
free 99.
And also, again,
y'all was downtown for them free hoagies out there, acting a fool.
I forgot about hoagie day.
Yo, it was all fucked up downtown the other day.
But definitely, and my website is Jahmel Kendall opportunity at wfg.com. So
okay.
And then, like I said, if people is interested in becoming a financial professional, contact me and we can help them with that, get them licensed and teach them about those things as well. Allow them to build the agency within the agency as well. So
that's dope.
That's awesome, man. We appreciate you coming out today. This is again a show I wanted to do for a long time.
Yeah,
I think it's gonna be really
been
impactful, and I think everybody gonna learn something. Y'all can talk about y'all 21 Savage and Amber Rose shit amongst yourselves until next week. We had a real topic this week with a real guest, man. I just want to say thank you, man. We appreciate it. Everybody out there,
we'll further break down 444 once I fully listen to everything.
Yeah. Everybody out there, as usual, therealestmerchever.com. Follow us on IG, the realest podcast ever.
Did you bring my hat?
No, I didn't get it done yet. That's bad on my part. Yeah. Follow us on IG at the realest podcast ever. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Just type in TRPE. Channel come right up. And leave comments on everything.
Yes.
Wherever Instagram, YouTube, Podbean, iTunes, leave comments, man. We need the comments. We trying to get back to where we charting. We doing the numbers, but we not charting because we don't got no goddamn comments.
I just wanted to make a quick correction. My website is jahmelkendall.wfgopportunity.com.
Okay.
And then you go on there, you can find a lot of information. And it was definitely a pleasure being here. And like I said, I'm honored to be here, and I'm glad y'all invited me. And I hope everybody can learn at least one thing today. I appreciate that.
That's dope, man.
You guys come a long way, man. I'm proud of y'all, man.
Thank you,
You
man.
came along. I'm telling you,
Don't start.
I seen his aura when he was
That's the what do.
like Charlie Murphy.
My prostration mark. Yeah.
Yo, Kendall a whole different dude now.
Shout out to all the Muslims who, Ramadan just was upon us, and it's a beautiful thing, man. Our city is turning. A lot of people don't see these things happening. And shout out to my man Carl too.
Yeah, definitely shout out to Pastor Carl.
Yeah, we gotta get Carl back up here. Carl's always one of my favorite guests.
Yeah, we got AO next week.
Yeah, AO's
the return of AO next week.
Oh,
he talking about I want a structured, funny topic. I'm like, what are you using this as your demo tape or something else? You gonna submit this to Fox Sports 1 or something?
Oh man,
playing a lot of games.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, we appreciate everybody out there in the world listening to the show, man. This is a very big one for us, very important show, something that's like near and dear to me because I want to educate y'all as much as possible. We do enough entertaining and clowning on a weekly basis, but hopefully everybody out there learns something from this show. So when you see this one pop up on your timeline, make sure you share it, retweet it, copy the link, send it to somebody that you know because there's somebody out there that can learn something from what we talked about today.
Right.
We out.
Peace.
We out.